Third position in the first race at Knockhill. It's a podium on home ground, Stuart, for yourself. Third at Knockhill. Happy enough with that?
I suppose I'll have to be now. But it's a tough race as always at Knockhill. It's always sort of hard going and intense. Saying that, I felt pretty comfortable early on, counting the laps away with Shakey leading, and then I could see he started to push a little bit more towards the last 12 laps, and felt pretty good in the last sector. And maybe that's why there was a bit of contact, because I was already quite late, and Michael got in at the last second. But I can't say too much after last year's incident with James Ellison, so I'll have to take that one on the chin.
Just on that subject, it was quite controversial. We'll ask Michael about that in a moment, but one of the back markers fell just going into the hairpin as you guys were arriving. As a result, there was a yellow flag displayed. You looked as though you backed off a little bit. Brooksy backed off. And what was your take on that?
I mean, to be honest, I think in all fairness, when you brake, you're braking as late as you can when you hit the brakes. So you can't alter anything else beyond that, and that's pretty much it, really. So
you had a look on the inside of Shakey on a couple of times. Were you worried in case, or was that a plan for the last lap to try and put a move on him if you were close enough?
Yeah, he was quite clever, because he was sort of drifting to the right as he hit the brakes and then coming back across to the left. So it would always make a pass pretty difficult. So it was a pretty clever line he was taking. But I did feel a little bit stronger in that part of the circuit. But again, to be fair, on the first half of the lap, he was really strong. So there was a tiny gap appeared, and I'd get it back at the hairpin, and it was a bit like that, really. We
saw you pointing down at the bike after a couple of laps of the safety car down to the left-hand side of the bike. What were you worried about?
I just had loads of tyre spin for some reason. It got a little bit better as the race went on, but not much better. I had a fair bit of drive spin. I'm not sure if it was the same for everybody, but I had a lot of spin.
And that went away, did it, as the race went on?
A little bit. It settled in a wee bit, but I mean, early on it was really bad. I thought I had a dud tyre or something like that. It was that bad.
All right, Stuart, thanks for that. Move on to the second place rider, Michael Laverty. Congratulations, Michael. First podium of the season, back in British Superbikes, here at a track that you love, Knockhill.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. The early rounds have been really quite tough, you know. To be honest, I rode as hard today as I did to finish 19th at Brands Hatch Indy, so that's just the way it is when you're developing a new motorbike. But fair play, the team have kept their heads down, kept bringing me new ideas to every round, and we're getting there with it. It's not quite, I'm not quite comfortable on it yet. There's still some areas we need to improve, but I've got something I can push hard now. We're giving away in a few areas to the Kawasaki boys, but lucky I was pretty strong in the brakes into the last corner, so could make up anything I lost on the other parts of the lap. I know I had to do a couple of hard passes on both Josh and Stuart, but it was the only thing I could do. There was nowhere else on the track I could pass bar the hairpin, so I had to take a bit of a late lunge and try not to make contact. I don't think I made contact either time, but it was harsh but fair in my eyes. So you got to do that in racing sometimes, and I haven't stood in the podium all year, so when it was there for the taking, I had to hang it out and go for it. So it was funny, actually. I didn't even realise it was the last lap. I just passed Stuart 2 laps to go, went across, didn't see the last lap flag, and I just kind of got on to Shakey. I don't know if I had a few more laps if I would have been able to have a go, but I hadn't followed Shakey at all, because when you're that close in the group, you just see the person ahead each time, and it's hard. You go over the top of the hill at the chicane, and you're just on the person's back wheel, so you don't get to ride your own line. So it's a bit strange. And like you mentioned about the yellow flag incident, I never seen a yellow flag. I don't know if the crash just happened directly as we entered, but you just concentrate so much on your apex and on not hitting the person in front that I was just pushing to the maximum. So to be honest, I didn't even see a yellow flag, or barely even seen the person crash in my periphery. I can kind of remember it now, but you know, that's just, you're just so focused on not tucking the front and pushing to the maximum in there that these things happen.
And you had to come from quite a way down the grid. You had to battle your way through to pass the likes of O'Halloran and Brooks, and then obviously get on the back of the 2 PBM Kawasaki's.
Yeah, it's frustrating. You know, same in qualifying yesterday with a new tyre. We don't find anything. You know, I'm probably doing the same lap times at the end as what I can do with a new tyre. The bike's probably easier to ride when it spins. And early on, when the front boys were going away, and Danny Buchan passed me, and I was like, oh, I can't let it slip back. So I had to do a few hard passes, and then I had to bridge that gap of I don't know if it was a second or a bit more. So it took me maybe 10 laps to get back onto O'Halloran, and then I got past O'Halloran, and then I got past Brooksy, and then just the last few laps, I felt stronger than the guys around me. So I thought I had to make the move. So it was nice to get a podium off the back of a. It's been a tough weekend again. You know, it has been all year. We're working hard every day in the garage.
Great to see you back on the podium, Michael. Move on to the race winner, 65 times a career win. Saw one or two of your tweets, Shakey. Obviously, falling out with British Airways does you good.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that was a really tough race. I think that you know, I envisaged a much faster pace for the whole race duration, and you know, when the course car came out at the beginning, I was desperate to get to the front. I wanted to be in the front, and I wanted to try to ride to my rhythm, and like Michael said, you know, not to have to follow anybody, not to have to look at what other people were doing. I just wanted to get out front and do my thing. So Stuart and I got a little bit close on the opening lap, and I think it was one of them where, you know, the measuring desperation to get to the front with the sort of common sense to actually not push us both off track or not be able to finish. You know, I took the smarter thing and backed out a little bit. But when I got to the front, I pushed for a bit, but lap time was absolutely rubbish, and I felt like the whole race like it was just a tiny bit on the edge. You know, don't get me wrong, I could probably go and do another 20 laps with the same set of tyres at that pace, but that pace isn't fast enough. And if we'd have gone faster, maybe I could have got a bit more of a gap, and it could have been a bit more comfortable. But I had a few little digs halfway through the race just to see if I could get the gap up, and I think the most I got it up to was about plus 0.2 or something like that. And then I looked pretty much every lap out of Clark's on the big screen and saw, you know, just about roughly where Stuart was. And yeah, just towards the end there, I think the last 2 or 3 laps, I had another little push to just try and, you know, maintain my margin. And yeah, luckily for me, I managed to hold on to the lead.
5 wins and a second place in your last 6 Knockhill races. Obviously, you like this place.
Do you know what I do? I mean, I'd be lying if I said the layout of the circuit was one of my favourites, but I like the fact that you come here. We come to Scotland once a year, and all of the fans, because of it, seem so appreciable. Do you know what I mean? They're really made up and excited that BSB's in town, and you know, they turn out in many thousands, and yeah, it's great. You know, it's like it's almost like being appreciated a little bit, because, you know, you go to Brands Hatch 3 times a year, and yeah, okay, we get some good crowds and stuff, but you know, they see it 3 times a year, whereas these guys get to see it once, and I think that's it's a real nice thing. A bit like when we go to Assen, you know, the Dutch crowd absolutely love us coming there. So yeah, in my opinion, it'd be cool to, you know, rather than keep going back to the same tracks all the time, it would be good to kind of spread us out a little bit and take us to a few different circuits as well, you know, because maybe the whole thing will just get bigger and bigger. But Knockhill's been good to me, and I enjoy riding it. I enjoy the intensity, because it's one of those tracks where you can't give away a tenth, you know, so riding, you know, pretty much to perfection and being pretty much online every single corner for 30 laps in the front, when you've got these guys like literally breathing down your neck, it takes a lot of mental concentration as much as physical effort to make it happen. And I kind of enjoy that challenge, you know. It's a nice feeling. Don't get me wrong, I'd rather be 5 seconds up the track and out on a Sunday ride, but at the same time I enjoyed the race today, and hopefully the weather will stay with us and we can have a good one this afternoon.
Scottish fans might like it if you let a Scotsman win in the next one, though.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not my bank account wouldn't like it if the bonuses for second are different.
Good luck for race 2, boys.
Thank you.